Welcome everyone to Midnight Overwatch, the Health Edition. And as usual, every couple of weeks, we're joined by Bob Gilpatrick of Boomers Forever Young. And we've been doing a series on different topics and new things in medicine and the health industry, breakthroughs, etc. And today, Bob is going to be sharing with us about circulation and the ins and outs and all the details about the importance thereof, what causes problems thereof, and how we can repair thereof and make it better so we have a more vibrant, healthy, and longer life. Anyway, with that, this is for the weekend of October 25th, 2025. If you are wondering, it should be right there in the title also. But anyway, let's get right into the topic because we're going to run a little bit shorter today, probably about 30 minutes or so because Bob's a busy man. Alrighty, without further ado, Bob, how's it going and how are things going down at the headquarters of Boomers Forever Young?
Thank you, Phoenix. Yes, I'm doing well. And we're here at the headquarters on 5401 Central Avenue. And everything is going well. There are some times when there are challenges in business where you might say things aren't going well right now, but this is not one of those. Right now, things are going very well. All the supply chain is happening according to our actions and our plan. And so even for our very hard to get products, which are one-offs, we're the only people that have them and sell them. Those are hard to get sometimes, but right now we're in really great shape. So it's a good time for people to call in, especially if you are listening here on the 25th of October or thereafter, shortly thereafter. We're having a really great sale where you can get up to 20% off on every one of the products that we sell. So
wow,
that's how things are going.
Well, that's very good. Now, I tell you what, to the listeners, if you guys catch this in time, that's a big deal because Bob usually never does all the products, on sale like that. But right now, anything you've been looking at, if you possibly have been wondering about, and he has rotational sales and specials on things all the time. This is the first time, Bob, I think I remember. I'm sure you have before, but in my limited remembrance, I don't remember you guys doing this, where everything, had the potential of being on sale.
Yeah, absolutely. And so there are certain products that we never put on sale because they're very expensive to buy, and we try to keep the price low. And so we haven't raised the price on them in many years. But this right now here at the end of October, it's the first time. Everything's on sale, and this is kind of like a gift for people before the whole Black Friday holiday sales begin. We're doing a really great sale right now.
Wow, that's very cool. Hey, before we get into the topic, I know we're limited time today or abbreviated. Any other news or things we want to get into that you'd like to share with us before we get right on topic?
Yeah, only that, we're working on two brand new products. And the beta tests that are going on right now while we're waiting for the manufacturers to finish up with, a large order are extremely promising in two areas. One is in the area of pain and discomfort, and both of the new products we're coming out with address that. And we're getting lots and lots of reports of people with pain that they could not get rid of any other way is now being addressed either by the product we have called Collagen that's coming and the product we have called Super Strong, which is a roll-on pain relief that's very, very different from the other ones on the market, and it works a lot better. So very soon, in just a few weeks, by this time next month, the middle of November, all those products will be in stock. And the one Collagen is going to help with joints to rebuild the cartilage in your joints at any age, and also address pain at the same time. So between the combination of these two, which a lot of people will buy together, because you get instantaneous relief from the roll-on, and then the Collagen is going to kick in after 3 or 4 days creates significant systemic pain relief and also starts to rebuild the cartilage in your knees.
Wow, that's pretty cool. And the name
Yeah.
of it again, collagen?
COLA, like cola, and then gene, GENE, which is, because it's affecting your genes, it's stimulating your genes to begin to act like they were much younger
Hmm.
and make new cartilage for you as a result.
Wow, very cool. Very cool. Alrighty. Anything else?
No, that's pretty much it for now. We're excited because we have a lot of people that are telling us they can't wait for these to come out. And we've been working on them for a long time, as you might imagine, from concept to, to actually being able to have available for people on the website is quite a long process of legal issues, organizational things, financing, everything that has to go into launching a new product is quite a process. We have experience in it, so we can do it. But there are certain time frames that you have to follow. You just can't cut corners on certain things. So it's been a while in the making, but we're excited. It's almost here.
Very cool. I'm sure everybody will be looking forward to that, and I'm sure very soon we'll get a topic on that. Perhaps you can do a little special on that for us.
Yep, yep, absolutely.
Very good. So, circulation, Bob. What's up with circulation?
Yeah, so circulation is one of these things that a lot of people don't pay attention to until there's a problem. Yet it's a fundamental aspect of human life, and human beings are a couple of things. We're very large mammals. We're much bigger than a lot of other mammals, and we have to have a circulatory system. Being a multi-celled organism, we have to be able to circulate oxygen since we are dependent on oxygen, and we have to be able to circulate nutrients that supply our whole body with nutrition and oxygen. And essentially, the main places that are being supplied is your nervous system. So if you were to strip away all the support systems, essentially what human beings are is we're a brain and a spinal cord with branching nerves that is being transported around in order to have a human experience inside a body that has internal organs and a skeletal structure to support the transport of your brain and spinal cord. And we're having a human experience through that nervous system. And in order for that nervous system to function properly, it needs nutrients and oxygen. Right? The nerves themselves, the neurons in your brain, have to have oxygen and nutrition. And so our digestive system is responsible for taking intake of food that gives us energy, and it passes through our digestive system and then enters the circulatory system, via the digestive system. That's where the nutrients come. And then of course you have your lungs, which are breathing in oxygen, and your blood, which is circulating, is picking up that oxygen, and it's transporting it via the hemoglobin molecule. And the emergence of hemoglobin in the evolutionary history of the world, which was this incredible God created molecule that can transport his oxygen, is was a major point in evolution. And so that's the circulation of your blood. But in addition to that, we have other very important fluids that are also being circulated, one being your lymph fluid, which you have about the same amount of lymph fluid as you do blood. And you can't see the lymph fluid because it's clear. But if you were to look, for example, at your wrists, you might be able to see the circulatory system for the blood by looking at the veins and arteries in your wrist. But right alongside it is lymph fluid that are in these tiny vessels that you can't see, but they're right at the surface of the skin also, and it's interfacing with your blood. And so the blood is kind of, in a sense, seeping the plasma out of the blood into the environment, the interstitial fluid, and the lymph vessels are picking up that plasma and circulating it and purifying it, detoxifying it, and then dumping it back into the bloodstream, via the thoracic duct. And so your circulation has to have the lymph fluid working well, or very, very quickly, your blood would be so toxic that you would die. And so knowing about the lymph system, not as an ancillary, oh yeah, by the way, we also have lymph, but rather knowing the crucial function it performs and how it's interconnected with your blood is very valuable thing to know. And the other, Phoenix, is your cerebral spinal fluid. So we said, we're essentially a brain and a spinal cord walking around. There's a fluid that is crucial in the function of the human body, which is the fluid that encases and seeps into the brain and around your spinal cord, right? And both the lymph fluid and the cerebral spinal fluid have their own independent pulse that's occurring, separate from your heart pumping blood. All right. Now, the end points of your blood circulation also have their own independent pumping action. Okay. The capillaries, which are microscopic, are where the oxygen and nutrients meet up with the cells to allow for the transference of those nutrients. And those capillaries are so tiny that your heart doesn't really have an effect on how they move the blood. The blood is pumped by the heart in the large vessels, but very quickly it gets to tiny vessels that the heart doesn't have any effect on. And so you're reliant on the expansion and contraction of those tiny vessels, and you're reliant on the contraction and expansion for your lymph in its entirety, because the heart does not pump blood to the lymph, or it doesn't help the lymph to move, I should say. And it also doesn't affect your cerebral spinal fluid. So there are other factors that are creating those pulses. They're very important to overall health, and the very life of the human body is dependent on the proper functioning of these fluids. And humans are primarily fluid, right? We have bones which are hard, mineralized, but most of the rest of your body is primarily fluid. We are a very gelatinous life form, and the proper function and the proper amount of circulation is crucial to your life. If you cut off the circulation to somebody's brain, they have compression on, one of their carotid arteries, and they can't get a proper blood circulation to the brain, or that someone has a stroke and it blocks off circulation to the brain, very quickly, within 5 minutes or less, you're going to be dead. And so it's that. On the other hand, there are many positive things you can do to enhance all of that circulation. And number one is you want to have a strong heart, because your heart is pumping blood as the preliminary source of circulation. And so you want your heart to be pumping with a proper ejection fraction, and you want it to be pumping with enough strength so it doesn't have to pump many, many, many times. 50, 60, 70 times per minute with a very good contraction and expansion is a healthy heart. If your heart's unhealthy, it needs to pump more times to get the blood to flow. So that's why one of an important measure for the health of your heart is, what is your pulse rate? Is it 80? Is it 90? Or when you wake up, is it 50 or 60, which would indicate a strong heart? And so what do? There's very easy, simple things you can do. We know that in order for your heart to pump really well, you need to have enough coenzyme Q10, vitamin B1, B3, B6, and you need to have those in the right ratios so that your heart is making enough energy to pump properly. And so luckily for us, many years ago, nutritional scientists figured all of this out for us and began to put together combinations of things like we have done with Boomer Boost to make sure that all of the important things for your heart are in this one powder. So if you look at Boomer Boost, it's got 66 different nutrients. And at one point, all of them were added to the particular formula in our thinking about circulation and the strength of your heart. And then in addition to the periphery of your body, what type of nutrients need to be circulated in your blood. And so it's very scientifically thought out with many, many years of research going back 30 years. And it's a highly engineered, highly sophisticated powder that can really be a really great lifesaver for people. That's our product, Boomer Boost. Great thing for circulation. You also need to make sure that you make enough nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is acting on your circulatory system to expand the capillaries. And one of the precursors to it is a compound called arginine, and that is in the Boomer Boost as well. The other aspect of our evolution, becoming these very sophisticated mammals, is how we adapted to the environment that we live in, which means the atmosphere, where we get our oxygen and nitrogen, and also the light that's coming from the sun. Okay, gravity has an effect on us, and also the core of our Earth. So people don't normally think of the geology of the Earth as being important, but the fact that there is a molten iron core in the center of our Earth is crucial for our health. And if there was not that iron core, which is rotating inside of a rotating Earth, and that motion, along with the iron, is creating these pulses of electromagnetism that penetrate all the way up and out of the Earth, and our bodies are absorbing those photonic emissions from the core of the Earth and contributing to our circulation in a very dramatic way. Without those PEMFs, we wouldn't have this type of circulation, and the evolution would have been totally and completely different. And so when people say, hey, we're searching for life on other planets, right? SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. One of the main things you want to look for is what's the makeup of that planet you're looking at? Is there a molten core? Is there an iron core, right? And in addition to, of course, what is the atmosphere like? What's the temperature on that planet and that type of thing? But this is important to know for circulation, because if you're aging, your photoreceptors for those pulses start to get tired. And one of the things you can do is use an intervention that's been invented, again, about 30 years ago in Germany. The scientists figured out how to mimic those pulsations, and they put it in a power supply, and they hooked it to a mat that you can lie on, and it's as if the core of the Earth has come to you. and it improves your circulation to a point where it's improved back to what it was like when you were much younger, when your photoreceptors were very vibrant and active. And so we also want to pay attention to the plasticity of your circulatory system. So you can have arteries and veins that are starting to get brittle and calcified, and they may not be able to expand as easily, even if you have one of these circulation mats. And so there are certain nutrients you need to pay attention to that help to keep the cells that are making up your endothelium, and your capillaries, that allow them to be elastic. And a crucial compound for that, which helps make up the cell walls, is called phosphatidylcholine. And if you become deplete in that as you age, you're going to have trouble with the plasticity of your circulatory system. And that's the reason why it's in Boomer Boost. There's phosphatidylcholine in there for that specific purpose. It also does other things, but that's the most important thing.
Mm.
And so thinking about the circulation then of the lymph fluid is a little bit of a different story, because it's not connected directly to the pumping of your heart. And so it's dependent on the opening and closing of these valves that are alongside the lymph vessels that are allowing plasma in and pushing things along. And then they arrive at sections of the system where there are these nodes. So you can think of it like a sprinkler system that's buried underground in your yard. And you don't see the hoses where it's being pushed along when the water kicks on, but you do see it comes out where the sprinkler head is. So that sprinkler head is like our lymph nodes, which you can feel some of them, underneath your chin. And people, a doctor will look to see if you have swollen lymph nodes. We'll tell him something about whether you have an infection or not. And it's good to know how to help the circulation of your lymph nodes, of your lymph vessels, to get it to the nodes, and how to clear out and help drain those nodes. And you can do that with a technique that's called manual lymphatic drainage. And you can learn to do it on your own. You can make your way to our website, and you can go to the section that's called podcasts and blogs. And there's a drop-down menu, and one of them is called self-care. And if you click on self-care, you'll be able to see the video on how to do lymph drainage for yourself. And it's very, very therapeutic to help your lymph system move along. And part of the reason is we live in a very toxic world these days, and our lymph fluid is helping get rid of those toxins. But because we're so toxic, sometimes it's not moving fast enough to get rid of the toxins. And so with this technique of massage, which you do with your fingertips and a little bit with the rest of your hands in a very gentle fashion, and this video will teach you the exact sequence, because lymph flows in a very precise type of fashion, where the lymph that is below your heart moves its way up towards your heart, and the lymph that is above your heart is going to flow down into the nodes by your clavicle bones. And the lymph from your face, which you can easily move, is going to go right to those clavicle nodes, and you need to know exactly how to massage those nodes in order to help return that plasma that's been cleansed back into the blood circulatory system. And that video takes you through step by step how to do it. And so you can do it for yourself. You can do it as a process of share care, where a husband and wife can learn to do it, and they can do it for each other. And it works really, really well when you do it for little children. And the children right away feel so good from this lymph massage. They tend to want to learn to do it themselves. Hey, can I do that for you, mommy? Right? And yeah, you can. Let me show you exactly how to do it. And from a very young age, you can teach children about the care of their lymph system.
Mm.
And oh, by the way, it makes you feel very sleepy. And so, if you have a child that you're having trouble getting to bed at night, it's nice to sing lullabies, but it will work a lot better if you do it while you're giving them a proper lymphatic massage. The child will go to sleep very quickly when you do that. It's hard to stay awake in the midst of lymphatic massage.
Well, how about this, Bob? What if you take the kids, put them in a car seat in the car, give them a lymphatic massage, and sing lullabies to them? How fast would they fall asleep?
Depends where you're going.
Depends on where you're going. And they would be
Go-
sound asleep until it's time to go in.
Yeah,
Anyway,
if you're going to Disneyland, I doubt they'd fall asleep.
yeah. Anyway,
My,
sorry.
yeah,
If everyone doesn't know, I have to interrupt Bob at least one time, at least once. I
well, that's
usually
good.
do two, but
Otherwise, it sounds like I'm rambling on, right?
yeah, there you go. So, yeah, very cool. Please continue.
Yeah. So then the part about the cerebral spinal fluid. Okay, so your cerebral spinal fluid is pulsing also. In fact, a trained therapist can have a client lie down on a massage table or the couch, and you can put your hands alongside the person's head right at around their temples. You can actually feel the person's skull expanding and contracting. And about every 7 seconds, your cerebral spinal fluid is filling these ventricles in your brain, and then it's draining. So it's got this in and out pulse, almost as if you were holding a circular balloon and you were to push in on it and then feel what it's like as you relax your hands and it's being pushed out. With a little bit of training, you can feel someone else's cerebral spinal pulse. And so the therapists that work with this fluid are called craniosacral therapists. And because the fluid goes from your sacrum into your cranium, that's what they decide to call it. And so this pulsing can be arrested. It can be put into what's called still point. So a therapist will have their hands alongside the client's head, and they'll allow their hands to move out as the fluid is moving out, and then as it moves in, they will follow it in with their hands and their energy and their intention. And after doing that for 3 or 4 pulses, the pulse will stop, and this is called still point. And when Dr. Upledger, who created this technique, wrote his first book about this, he called it Your Inner Physician and You, because there's something about still point that puts your body into healing and recovery mode, and also a mode of release of traumas that are holding you back from perfect health. And so one of the things that can happen in still point is the once the person's pulse is stopped, the therapist can just hover their hands over the person's body, go up and down the legs, the torso, around their head, and the patient will feel energy when the therapist gets to a space where where the energy is stuck. They call it an energy cyst. And the inner physician is anxious to heal this blockage of energy that occurred, that usually from some type of a trauma. You get in a car accident, you have a divorce, things that are traumatic, a death in the family. Energy tends to get stored in block areas of flow in parts of your body. And these energy cysts are very real, but they can be released. And so if the therapist then hovers their hand over, say, an area in your quadricep and tunes in and says to the patient, well, what's going on here? Why is this energy cyst here? Did this happen to you when you were a child, a teenager, or a young adult? Right. And the next thing you know, the client is in a state where they have access to this information because they're in still point. Okay. And so now you have a very profound communication that is enabled by the craniosacral therapist, and all kinds of communication from the unconscious mind, from the unconscious mind of the thymus, of the microbes in your gut, all now are able to be and voiced. And so once the therapist says, okay, well, let's talk about this issue that happened when you were 5 years old, and they use therapeutic auditory techniques along with their energy to help reframe the body's reaction to that event so that the unconscious mind thinks that it was interpreted differently and in a more positive way. And lo and behold, this energy cyst will release. And in its release, it creates what's called a clonism, which is a spasm in the area where the energy release is occurring. Sometimes it is accompanied by a very emotional experience. It could be an outburst, it could be crying, could be screaming, depending on the extent of the trauma. This is why you do this with a trained therapist, and the technique of helping patients through this release, which is sometimes very strong. The therapist is trained in the technique called somato-emotional release, SER. And if you are thinking of having such therapy done for you, it can be extremely beneficial, very, very profoundly therapeutic. And you want to search for a person who's trained in SER. You don't necessarily go into craniosacral therapy with the intention of healing at the core level unless the person's trained to help you through it. Okay. And so when you search, like if you search the Upledger site by your zip code and you look for a craniosacral therapist, look when you find them, look to see if they've taken the courses called SER, somato emotional release. And then you can feel comfortable that Dr. Upledger and his other trainers have helped this person. Maybe they themselves have advanced to become a trainer, and you'll be able to identify that as well. Or maybe they're even diplomat certified in these techniques. And I've experienced all of this with these types of advanced therapists. And in addition, I've done this therapy for many, many people. And I can tell you it's well worth it to pay attention to this aspect of your circulation, because who would know that a circulation system that most people have never heard of can have that profound an effect on your life, right? So this is the gist of the importance of it. Your blood has to be healthy, it has to be clean, it has to have plenty of oxygen. The pulses of the capillaries have to be strong. The pulse of your heart has to be strong. Your lymph fluid has to be flowing freely and needs help with a little bit of lymph massage, which you can also find lymph therapists, lymph massage therapists on that same site, Upledger, Upledger. And in addition, paying attention to the potential for having your cerebral spinal pulse be your inner physician under the right supervised circumstances.
Very good. Bob, we are rolling out of here. Speaking of, contacting and all of this, again, this is abbreviated health report, everyone. Schedule issues abound. So anyway, Bob, why don't you share with everybody how to get more information, how to contact you. I will tell everybody, you can go to patriotintelreport.com and click on the lady in the blue lightning storm on the left-hand side. That'll take you right to Bob's site. But Bob, give give out some more information, contact info for you, so those who are curious or need more information can contact you.
Yes, so you can call our 800 number. It's 800-861-4609. And we answer the phones Monday to Friday from 9 to 5 Eastern time. You'll get Stephanie or Lucy on the phone. You might even get a call from Jim Lee, who's our superstar 90-year-old advisor that helps people with their health. And they'll be able to walk you through if you want to improve your circulation. They'll be able to walk you through what you need to get to do it. It can help you navigate the Upledger site, okay? And you can also swing by and visit if you want. St. Petersburg is on the Gulf Coast of Florida. It's Tampa, St. Pete area. And we're on Central Avenue in St. Petersburg, halfway between the beach, the St. Pete Beach, and downtown St. Petersburg at 5401 Central. If you want to come by, give us a call ahead of time to make sure that I'm here. And I'll be more than happy if you're coming on vacation. If you live nearby, you live in Sarasota or Clearwater or Orlando. I've had people drive from as far away as Atlanta. We've had visitors even from different countries that have come by when they're on vacation. We're more than happy to sit in and talk with you like that as well. And so, yeah, I would just say, Phoenix, in closing, there are lots of people that are very, very interested in their health and wellness right now, more so than ever before. You have an abundance of information, an abundance of new products, whether it's nutrition products or medical devices like the circulation mat. It's just a mass of new things that are happening all the time. And so people try to keep up. They try to learn what to do. And if you want help making it a lot simpler, where we've done the work to simplify things for you, where we can say, okay, we can show you how to get a system that we have called the Total Health System. That's all the nutrients that you need together in one easy to use package. And we developed that over the years so that you don't have to try to piece together your own regime, from the health food store and the supermarket and the drugstore and online. You're probably not going to get it, done as well as if you were to let us help you with that. And you'll end up saving a lot of money if you let us help you with it as well. And so I applaud all the people that listen to shows like this that are actively seeking how to maintain and improve their health. And we really enjoy speaking with people, visiting with people, that we get to share our creations and our accomplishments with them and watch them improve and get better and maintain their health. And we love reading their testimonials. We have over 4,000 people that have given us testimonials about their success of their engagement with Boomers Forever Young.
Very cool. Well, Bob, I appreciate that and all that info. I know everyone else does. Everyone be sure and contact Bob if you have any more questions. Again, go to patriotintelreport.com. Click on the lady on the left-hand side, and the blue lightning storm will take you right to the site. Bob, thank you so much for joining us again today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, Phoenix. I'll look forward to our next time.
Likewise. So that is it, everybody. We are rolling out of here. Remember, so important. It doesn't matter what you have in life. If you do not have your health, not going to be so good. So anyway, to stay healthy, be sure and contact Bob. Until the next one, everyone, God bless in Phoenix, and Bob out.